All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me right here. All right, Motley Crue, they're being accused of using a drum track now, in addition to the fact that Vince Neil is just trying to survive. He's just trying to survive out there. We're not expecting Vince to sing like he did. Although, the social media, when the people who weren't there how many years ago to listen to Motley Crue, right? And you can easily go back and listen to some old Motley Crue, the way they used to sound, and then you listen today and you're like, well, wait a minute, something's not right here. And again, I've always said, this is what I've said, that certain types of music in this particular style isn't really music designed for older dudes to sing, guys who are older than me, who are going out there and pretending that it's 1988. They're just pretending. So here's what's being alleged, right? There's more drama, according to this radio station that I'm reading from their page. There's more drama surrounding Motley Crue's tour. This time, a video appears to show the band using a backing track for drums. Shocker, breaking news. They're using a backup track. Now, why would they do that? It looks like Tommy Lee misses his cue for the song Looks a Kill as he's scrambling to sit behind the kit as you hear the drums start playing. No, don't start. I'm not behind the drums yet. Don't start. Oh. And of course, people drinking $12 beers, $14 beers in the audience. Hey, they don't care. I hear music. How's he doing that? How's he playing the drums without actually being behind the kit? That's pretty cool. Well, I love that today's technology is just great. I'm trying to be like the guys had a few beers, but it didn't work. At the beginning of the tour, Tommy Lee announced that he'd broken 4 ribs and would be unable to play the drums. He sat out a few shows, mainly sitting at the piano, or get this, or just drinking on stage while the band played. I just paid $250 a ticket to watch Tommy Lee drinking on stage while the rest of the band played. He's been powering through and playing the full set each night since June 29th, though. He's been powering through all right. So long as he gets behind the drum kit before the drum track begins, that's the way to power through, Tommy Lee. And people are paying for this. And people will continue to pay for this. This is weird, okay? To me, this is just weird. I hear, the more I hear about this tour, because a couple of years ago when they announced this, I'm like, maybe I should go to that. That sounds like it's going to be great. But then I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to see Motley Crue was really the band I was least interested in seeing. Def Leppard, absolutely. Poison, 100%. Joan Jett, sure. Why not? But Motley Crue, I'm like, yeah. And then, of course, that Dirt movie comes out, and that just made it even worse for me. I'm like, these guys, why am I giving money to these guys, right? And then what else? And then you have that docu-series with Pamela and Tommy Lee and all of the just ridiculous stuff that happened and stuff that you're not really supposed to watch on television. But see, that caters to a specific fan. These guys can't talk without throwing F-bombs like it's not even just, it's like they literally can't talk without using F-bombs. Tommy Lee, his first announcement was like, hey, I effing broke my ribs. Can you effing believe it? And everybody's like, okay, cool, man. This is what I want to go and see. And look, I'm not disparaging Motley Crue fans. Motley Crue fans, a lot of them, great people. But at this stage, this is like, I don't know, a caricature of what they were, which was already a caricature if you go back and you think to yourself, the arguments of the grunge guys who came along and said, you treat girls this way, you do this, although they didn't, they went from certain one type of drug to a different kind of drug. They went from alcohol to heroin. So shut up, stop your arguing about how you treated women. I mean, if the women survived what was going on, I guess I'm trying to make the point that there is a certain level of sort of lewd debauchery that it wears thin after a while. Yeah, man, this is their image. There are people in the audience, I'm sure, in their 60s, right? And do some of these people grow up? Do they just want to hear the music? See, and that's the problem with all of this, is you can't seem to separate the image and all the crazy debauchery and just psycho behavior. You can't seem to separate that from the music. A lot of us want that part of it to go away, to separate that out. And some of us are like, I'm not going to go see this spectacle. Maybe you want to go people watching. That's interesting. I had a conversation with Johnny Gioeli from Hardline, because we were both at the same Journey concert, and we were watching people. We were looking at, wow, can you believe this woman at her age and the way she's dressed? And that just isn't working for anybody in that building, especially her. But if you say something like that, people get all offended now. They're like, what do you mean? I'm trying to be cool and I'm trying to go back to my youth. Well, unless you've got some sort of plastic surgeon who can help you out, I don't think you're getting back there, And even if you had the plastic surgeon, at what point do you say to yourself, maybe I should adjust a little bit? I'm 65 years old, or I'm 62 years old, whatever age you are, maybe I should kind of change my philosophy on life. But Motley Crue and, everybody who's promoting this, they're banking on the fact that there are a few people who are curious about what happened 30 years ago, right? 35 years ago. Those people will show up at the concert and they'll get treated to rock and roll, which sounds good, right? Sounds like a good thing. And then there are a whole bunch of people who are nostalgic and want to be exactly the way they were 35 years ago. Those people are perplexing to me. They just are. I and a lot of my friends, we could probably just admit, that, yeah, we weren't too bright. We weren't too smart. And not that we learned everything, but we kind of grew out of it. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make here. At some point, when do you grow out of this? This isn't like, look, there are certain artists you can go see that 30, 40 years ago, if you like Eric Clapton, for instance, and you don't grow out of Eric Clapton because Eric Clapton wasn't a fool. He wasn't an image. He was a great guitar player. And you can go down the list of great musicians who just played great music, and you just were into it because of the music. Now, many of these bands had an image, and some of that stuff did not age well. Obviously, the glam rock stuff and the heavy metal stuff, some of it didn't age well. Of course, you could be Stryper, right? You could be Stryper, and Stryper today still going strong and got new music out there, and it's not bad. And it's a little bit more palatable than Motley Crue because Stryper wasn't into debauchery. They were actually trying to tell people that debauchery was a bad thing, even though, in the early days, they were kind of dressed like everybody else and they had the hair, but they didn't do those things. You didn't see a movie about Stryper's, behind the scenes activities and how they did such and such to who and how they treated women and so forth. But anyway, this whole thing with the drum track, is this surprising to anybody? Is this shocking? No. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a guitar track or whatever track, a vocal track, even though people can kind of hear that this is Vince Neil in the year 2022. And some people are like, hey, he's doing good. He's getting through the songs. And that's what Vince Neil is trying to do. He's trying to survive out there. He's not trying to reinvent the wheel. He's trying to make sure that the contract is not null and void. He's trying to fulfill the contract. And if they can get through it, they're going to get a whole bunch of money on the other end. Maybe they'll get some kind of incentive if they go further. You know, they're talking about a European tour. Really? I mean, if they can get through this, maybe what they ought to do is realign the stadium tour with bands who can actually perform live without backing tracks. And that might mean like some different talent that you didn't necessarily think of. You may have to go with brands that aren't quite as big, but maybe with bands who can still do this stuff and do it legit. In the case of Motley Crue, maybe this is why they announced their retirement, in 2015? We're never going to perform again. And they just etched it in stone, but then all this money came along and they unetched. And here we are today with broken ribs, drum tracks, and a guy who's hanging on. And I'm talking about Vince Neil. He's hanging on. Good for him. I mean, at least he's trying. At least he's trying to get through this. Some people say it's the most unenthusiastic lead vocal in the history of lead vocals. Like, he just gets his voice out there, and then throws the microphone. This is the big thing. Here, sing this part because I can't sing it. You see in this all over the place, by the way. You see it at almost every concert where there are geezer rock bands and artists performing. There are exceptions, right? And I've noted some of those exceptions and have applauded those things. But in any event, good luck to Motley Crue. Good luck to them. Good luck to their fans. I hope they get through the stadium tour. There's a whole big bunch of money waiting for them. Some of it, I'm sure, has already been paid out, but I think there's probably a little kind of kicker in that clause that says, you got to get to the end. We got to give you a carrot at the end so you'll cross the finish line. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Along the way, it's kind of interesting. This is people watching, and right now people are watching as drums are being played without a drummer. They're just starting up automatically, and people are like, wow, man, what a trip. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the old days. You roll up a doobie and you have a couple of cold ones, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, man, do you see the drummer? No. Well, he's got to be there because I hear drums. And it's really all in your head. It truly is all in your head. Thanks to technology, it's actually really happening. So there you have it, folks. Another video in the can. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of great patrons over on Patreon. And for $1 a month, you can be part of that crew of old geezers and even some younger people who find me weird and hard to understand. So they have to they have to go over to Patreon to try to figure it out. All right. Thanks again, and I will see you soon.